Hello, yes people. Welcome to episode 3 of season 3 of The Yes Girls, a podcast brought to you by me, Claire.
And me, Akumu.
And together we are...
The Yes Girl. Okay, it sounds weird being doing it
I
alone.
left you hanging. I wanted you to get the limelight for a second. We are Yes Girl 1 and Yes Girl 2 to be allocated as you see fit. We'll take either title.
Two.
Our episodes generally last between 30 and 45 minutes and are centered around the following structure. Number 1, an introduction to the podcast. Number 2, an introduction to the theme of the episode. Number 3, an expose of both mine and Akumu's experience.
Okay. What are you trying to expose here? We have secrets to keep. Or are you just trying to bore our listeners to death?
Neither. I'm laying things out in a structured, meticulous fashion so everyone knows where and what everything is.
But that's not really who we are.
Well, maybe it should be. I think we could do with being a little less, all over the place.
Well, I can't say no to that. But why now specifically?
Well, because this episode is us, both of us, with an expert to guide us, saying yes to being...
Drum rolls, please.
Organized.
Okay, I left you hanging there. And in response to that, and in the interest of staying true to our organized structure, the one that she just laid out, allow me to explain who, what, and how we, the Yes Girls, are or came to be.
Yes, please do.
On it. So we, the Yes Girls, are two Nairobi-based wanderlusters who are making it our mission to say yes to doing, being, and learning something different every 2 weeks. That's exactly how our episodes are organized. And we document our journeys. And this podcast is a strange and interesting result of us saying yes to sometimes challenging, sometimes fun, sometimes entertaining, and sometimes downright outrageous experiences. So for this season, just like the first season, if you remember, no Yes Girl takes the expert chair or takes any kind of precedence as such, since we are back to both saying yes to the same doing, being, and learning challenge, something that we both haven't done before. And we'll have a guest expert to guide us. And by the way, we are not only having a guest expert for each season. Mm-hmm. To keep us on track, or, we have someone else. And that other person is the No Girl. Our voice of reason on hand to bring us back to earth with a bang, or rather with a voice message or two each episode.
She can bang. That came out wrong.
Totally.
She can give a bang. No, that still sounds wrong. Anyway, before we dive in more, have we had any reviews lately, Akumu?
Oh, yes. You better believe it. Mm-hmm. So our recent stand-up comedy episode, that was episode 1 of season 3.
It was fun.
It's probably one of our most listened episode yet, right? According to our stats. Out there in AfriPods right now. And we couldn't help but notice that the laughing emoji was one of the most prominent features out of all the, everything that was shared on the socials. Yeah. So a special shout out to AM_J on Instagram, who says his mom and sister are, our number 1 fans. And he's also an awesome follower of our socials. So shout out to you, Jay. Thank you.
Yeah. And we got this message from Rufus du Sol. I hope that's pronounced correctly, but you never know on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And he said, listening to your pod felt like watching it as well. I loved the journeys you guys share on the topics you cover. My most favorite episode was learning to code. That's a popular opinion. I'm transitioning to tech from graphic design and started learning to code this year. I'm currently practicing web pages with HTML and CSS as I warm up to JavaScript. I related to everything that you all went through, and yes, CSS can develop your character.
Totally.
A whole bunch of emojis came after that. And then to end, he says, and the audio is so clean and well edited. Kudos to your producer. Mm-hmm. Yeah, guys. And also the content management is just amazing.
That's us.
Thank you.
A bow from us. You can also always send a review or a message on Instagram by dropping us a comment on any of our posts, feed, or sliding into a DM on our page. That's at Yes Girls Podcast. We also have had a lot of requests for Yes Girls merchandise, and it's actually on sale. Please, it's not for free unless you're an expert, or we'll see.
Unless we love you that much.
Exactly. So become lovable. So if you're interested, please drop us a message as well to explaining whether you want a t-shirt or a hoodie and the size you want. And if you get enough demand, we might actually listen to you all. And yeah, we've already received a few orders, so jump in and order while the stocks last.
Yeah.
Now back to this episode.
So this week's episode, remember, is saying yes to being organized. This is such a broad topic. As we approach this challenge, we've really scratched our heads about where to start. We're both pretty organized in our own ways, I think, but with some big differences in where our strengths and our weaknesses lie. As you know, for season 3, we are calling on the services of renowned. That's our favorite word of season 2. And if you don't know why, then go back and listen to our pole dancing episode. We called on the services of renowned experts. This episode is no different. We had the pleasure, the honor, the privilege of getting to work with Toni Crow for this episode. Toni is a leadership coach and so much more. Her education includes graduate studies at Royal Roads University, achieving her Certified Executive Coach designation and accreditation from the International Coaching Federation, a Bachelor of Science, Lean Black Belt, amongst many others. Originally from Scotland and a child of the hippie era.
Love her already. Hippie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Today, she lives with her family in Vancouver, Canada. In her own words, simply connecting with people, especially one-on-one and in small groups, fills my bucket.
Love it.
I love that.
So if you don't know what coaching or especially lean black belt is, then all you need to know is that they are basically the perfect skills.
Perfect.
It's a perfect cocktail for anyone we wanted to be an expert, especially for, a challenge like being organized. So here's one basic definition of a coach, if you Google it, right? Coaching is a form of development in which an experienced person, i.e. the coach, supports a learner or client in achieving a specific personal or professional goal by providing training and guidance. And lean black belt, if you haven't Googled it already, is something like this. A crazy high level of mastery of methods of developing and improving products, services, or processes. Yeah, that's a paraphrasing, we paraphrase it a bit.
Basically making things work way better than they currently are.
Exactly.
Processes, efficiency, systems, the whole thing.
Yeah.
So before we launched into this, Toni broke it down for us over a Zoom call. And here's a short clip from that amazing Zoom call.
Then there's just different types of organization, as we see here. There's spatial organization, there's electronics organization, mind organization, project organization, there's home and tasks all around your life. So some tips I would give in any kind of organization is always involve others who have a stake in it. Don't make it, it's not a single player game for things that others involved in. You want their buy-in or it's not going to go anywhere. And they may have some great ideas and you can make it more fun that way. The second tip is to seek first to understand the current state of your organizational life, whatever area it is, right? And look at what works so you can do more of that and what doesn't so that you want to evolve or change. So seek first to understand. Don't go rushing to forward until you've really looked at where you're at. And just continually check in and adjust and make incremental actions. So that's the Hansei questions that I recommend you to ask yourself as you go. What's working well? What could improve? Who needs help or how can I evolve or adjust?
Before we look at how our experiences went, let's see what the No Girl has to say to us to send us on our merry way.
Oh dear, here we go.
About this thing of being organized. I think on one hand, it's worth taking on such a challenge because simple actions can improve your life so much. An example would be if you spend ages every day looking for your everyday things like keys, wallet, glasses, a small change in habits like only having one bag or a dedicated place for them can change your life so much. I've heard about people saving hours from their day by making a small change to their life like that. On the other hand, I'm kind of convinced that some habits we're simply born with. People who are terrible with time or people who are terrible with directions, that they're always getting lost. And when it's innate like that, I think it's hard to change. And I might be about to shit on your whole podcast now, so beware. But that's kind of the danger with self-help. In a way, you're always telling yourself that you're not good enough the way you are. And it can be kind of exhausting. So I'm curious to know if this challenge will actually make a difference in your lives or just make you feel bad that you're not more organized.
She's very right. I like what she's saying. And yeah, I think I've got to say, the no girl, in my experience, is very organized.
Yes, she is.
In all manner of ways, in all the different ways. And all the different ways that Toni laid out to us.
Exactly. So let's see how we did. Remember, we gave ourselves each a week. And we each approach it from our own personal angle to make ourselves become more organized, whatever that meant for us. So after our briefing with Toni, here's what went down, or up, or sideways, or in boxes. I'll just start by saying that most, if not all, being challenges in this podcast scare the hell out of me. There's always a slight hesitation with most of them. Hardly excitement per se. If you remember, like episode 1, there was being vegan, being positive. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, that was crazy. So this one was slightly different. I was a bit excited because it's very self-helpy. And if you've listened to the season 2 finale, you'll know what I'm all about. I'm all about, self-help, personal development, self-development. I drink that Kool-Aid like I'm being paid to do it. So for me, being organized wasn't about, when coming to this challenge, it wasn't about my house, how my stuff is disorganized in an organized manner, or how I don't really have a Marie Kondo system or a Konmari system. Yeah, I don't have any of that. But somehow my brain always remembers where everything is. So there's a system of sorts. So for me, being organized for this challenge meant, I wanted to organize more my habits and my routines, because that's where, I thought that those are the things I wanted to do that because there are certain things, I want and maybe should even be doing every single day. So I thought that's the perfect, organization I needed. So one of the key things I wanted to organize was specifically my goals. I have a bunch of very lofty goals that have been floating in my head for years. And back in, I think, 2018, I went on YouTube and sought out some help. So I wanted to find out how I can break down goals so that they can move from being idle wishes to, actual concrete plans. Yeah. So I found a nice little video by a self-help extraordinaire. I don't know if you know him, Brian Tracy. You've never heard of him?
I've heard of the name.
Exactly. He's really big. You must have heard of him. So he even offered like a downloadable PDF of, a 14-day goal setting challenge still on my drive. And back then I was so pumped. So I used it, sat down, broke my goals and had an, actionable plan for my goals back in 2018. And then fast forward to today, and so much of that actionable plan is still just theory. So I looked back at the Excel sheet at the start of this challenge, and I decided I needed to close the loop between creating beautiful plans, which I'm very good at, and actually executing, which I'm not so good at. So going into this challenge with Toni, I was ready to find a cure for my ailments after I gave her an overview of my symptoms. I want to focus on my goals every day, find a way to do something about them. Yeah. Not just trudging on day after day. So the first thing I had to do was habit stack. Do you know what that means?
I have a feeling you're going to tell me.
Obviously. And it's from the book you don't like. It's from...
Don't name it.
Okay.
That which must not be named.
That book about habits.
Okay, say it. I'll block my ears. Go on, for the listeners.
Atomic Habits by James Clear. Claire hates that book. But
can I open my ears now?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
So habit stacking is just, a fancy word for tying a new habit into an old habit that's already second nature. It just makes it much easier for your brain, because now your brain will tie that new habit to something it already does every day. So I'm already used to, using my notebook, beautiful notebook I got from a nice bookshop somewhere in Nairobi.
And I use it. Difference. A nice notebook.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Everyone looks at it and they're just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm due for a next one. So I use that book to write my tasks every day. So that's the habit I needed to tie to my new organization. habit in quotes. So my plan was to use 2 full pages per day. So on the right side, if you open any book, on the right side, I'd have my tasks for the day, which is continuous thing I'd do. And on the left, I'd have, my daily goal executions. So the things I wanted to start doing. So that left page is what kept changing weekly and even daily. It actually went through 5 different iterations. Yeah, I should be a techie because techies love this word. So the first one that I did, the first iteration of that left page was more of what came from Toni from our first briefing call. She gave me like a framework of what you can do on that left page. So she decided to have a matrix of 4 short lists. So there's one that has, things that are important to do today, things that are impactful, a section for things that are both of those things. And then the last section is quick wins for the day. So things you can do to, feel good about the day. So on top of that, I decided to add a section of ideas. So I got that from one of my fave podcasters. It's called James Altucher. Do you know him?
No.
You should. So what he does, he writes 10 ideas every day. And I was totally up for the challenge. So I decided to add that section on this left page. So this left page is pretty full already. But I also added another section of, the best things that happened today. Because this is just kind of a mental wellness thing. If you write the best things that happened in the day, you're kind of training your mind to see the positive. Because the brain is very defaulted towards the negative. That's how we've survived for millennia, right?
Sounds a bit like a gratitude journal. It's the same principle.
It's the same principle, yeah. Because if you're noting 3 best things that happened today, you can also note the what you're grateful for.
So
exactly.
Training yourself to focus on the positive deliberately with a very deliberate action.
Exactly. So that page was kind of full. That was like 6 mini sections.
Wow.
And then came to the second iteration. So after a couple of days, I figured I should add a goal section, right? Because
another section.
Yeah.
My goodness, this organization sounds quite disorganized.
So it was already 6 mini sections. And then now I had another section because I felt like, okay, so I'm writing important, impactful, but where are the goals? They're missing. So I added section 6, 7. And then eventually I realized that, so the important, impactful sections were confusing me every morning. So I'd wake up every day and wonder, okay, so what's impactful again? What's important again? I was always confused in the morning. So I decided that the third iteration of this whole page needed to simplify. So I shifted from all those 7 sections and I moved to a 3-section page. So I removed, the impactful, important because they were confusing me, and I just wanted to simplify. So I just had, goals, ideas, best things that happened for the day. That's the simplest of all the iterations. And then I read, there's a book I was reading at the time. It's called Unchain Your Brain, because I'm reading a lot about the brain these days. So that book led to my next iteration. So remember, now I'm down at 3 sections.
V4, and this is V4 of your...
This is version 3.
Oh, version 3.
But you're heading to version 4, yes. So this book, Unchain Your Brain, it's a book mainly focused on work that the authors, Daniel Amen and David Smith, do. They handle like addiction, how to stop addiction, how to be an addict. I mean, better, even if you've been an addict, and addictions of all kind. But anyone can read that book. That's why I read it, because it's about the brain. So from that book, I discovered there's something called one-page miracle. Yep, you can Google it. Don't worry. I'll wait. Today I was reading a book called Unchain Your Brain. I'm not done yet. Not reading really, I was listening. So Unchain Your Brain is by 2 psychologists, I hope. Yes, psychologists called Daniel G. Amen and David A. Smith. And they mentioned something called the one-page miracle. It's something that they ask, they work with addicts and how people can stop, being addicted to whatever kinds of substances. So they ask them to write a one-page miracle, and it's kind of something that helps give their clients kind of motivation to move forward or to just change their lives. And I think even when you go to their website, so Daniel Amen is one of the authors, and he has a website, Amen Clinics. He has clinics called Amen Clinics. And there's a downloadable PDF of the One Page Miracle just explaining what it is. And the first sentence of that PDF says, tell your brain what you want, and then your brain will help you match your behavior to it. It's really cool. I'm definitely adding it to my newest iteration of my Be Organized left page. So the One Page Miracle, or OPM, is a pretty simple yet powerful motivational exercise that can guide your thoughts, words, and actions in a day and ultimately change your life. That's what they say. So as I've said, I adopted it on my left page, and this would be the 4th iteration. So you remember the 3rd iteration has goals, best things, and what's the other thing?
If you can't remember it, I definitely can't remember it.
Okay, so now 4th iteration, instead of the goals, I changed it to the One Page Miracle. So instead of a blanket list of goals, the One Page Miracle suggests that you separate those goals into 4. So there's psychological goals, biological goals, social, and spiritual. Under psychological, you have something like, how do you want to handle your emotions, your thinking patterns. Biological, and most goals don't have that stuff. So I liked the separation because now you can have psychological, those things. Mm-hmm. I want my thinking patterns to be like this.
Biological has to do with toilet stuff.
Yeah, I want to use the toilet like this. Not so much, but it's more about physical health.
Okay.
If you're clear, you're running every day, or chasing the train, or brain health. I'm going to read this so and so books in a day. There is social, where you say how you're going to relate to family and spouses, at work, at school, or in terms of money. Cue in episode 2 of season 3. And then finally, there's spiritual. So this is where you just talk about, how do you want your character to be? How do you want to relate to your passions? And what impact do you want in society? So if you just realize, every time we write our goals, we are always thinking of passions or work or school. It misses out on the other aspects, social, spiritual, the other stuff. So this is my 4th iteration because it kind of spread me out to other things, not just, earthly possessions and stuff. So that was the final thing. That is my final iteration with a slight shift. So there's a last iteration, like this is iteration 4.5. Yeah, I should be a techie. So in the beginning, I was writing this One Page Miracle. Okay, so if I say physical health, like all for the last 5 years, I've been saying run every day. Never done it.
Not run even one day.
Oh, I did it last year, by the way, somehow. So there's something else now I found from another book that I was reading called Redefining Possible by Ron Alford and Dustin Hillis. I'll put them in the show notes.
I'm just getting the impression you read a lot of self-help books.
You know that already.
Well, we know that from our self-help episode. Yeah.
Yeah. So from that book, they say instead of writing your goals in future tense or just no tense at all, use the present tense, right? Because it kind of tricks your brain that it's already happening, and your brain will be like, okay, your subconscious brain will be, will feel like, okay, let's make things happen. So that's the last iteration. So now with those goals under those 4 sections of the One Page Miracle, I write it as I am. I have.
It's like manifesting.
I do. Exactly. Yeah. It's kind of even like an affirmation. So it's killing 20 birds with one stone. So that is my final left page right now. And so from once I had it in good form, what I learned from this challenge is first to give myself grace. I mean, there are a lot of days where I woke up, things happen, you have so much work to do, and then it reaches 4 p.m. You haven't written anything on that left page, right? So I even told Toni this, you remember in the call. I told her, so what happens on days when you're off and stuff? She said, if at 4 p.m. you realize you haven't written anything, try and write it because the day is not over. On the days you don't fill in anything, give yourself grace and say the next day you'll be better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing I learned also was that I should keep my goals focused on my own essence. Like I said, not on earthly things, earthly possessions and stuff. This came from a conversation I had yesterday with someone, and, they put it perfectly when they said, what do you really want and what would the kid inside you want? right? So from that conversation, I might have even decided, to start journaling. I've never journaled before, but it makes sense to now start journaling towards that kid. If I'm telling my 6-year-old self, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do, sometimes you realize my 6-year-old self wouldn't be impressed by that. Yeah. So that's an upcoming iteration 5 of this whole thing. But yeah, that's basically how it went. I think talking to Toni was amazing. So this will be a being continuing for me. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like a pretty positive experience.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Believe it or not, my organization skills are actually something I pride myself on. So, what could I possibly stand to gain from this challenge that we came up with to challenge ourselves, all in the name of personal development, creativity, and producing content that we consider good enough to put out into the world? Well, as Toni explained to us, there are different sorts of organization. Whilst my to-do lists are pretty robust, and I managed to do a lot with my time simply through good time management and being organized, my physical spaces are, well, some would say disorganized. My cupboards, my handbag, or my backpack these days, as, basically these days, all pretense of ladylike fashion has gone out of the window. My filing system, they all needed work. So I decided to focus my time on that, organizing my physical spaces. Mm-hmm. So first stop was the pile of papers I couldn't even call a filing system because basically there was no system. I explained to Akumu and Toni before starting this challenge. Actually, we're on the Zoom call and the pile of papers was behind me and I couldn't even look at it because it just makes me anxious. Anytime I needed to find an important document for some administrative process, which just given my lifestyle, there are a lot of administrative processes, right? I have my own company. I apply for residence permits every couple of years to stay in Kenya legally. I have 2 nationalities.
Thank you for adding legally.
I'm completely legal, folks. I have contracts, health insurance, taxes, company, personal taxes, just basically a lot of papers. And this pile of papers was the elephant in my living room.
Why the living room?
Well, okay, the living dining is an open space. It's behind the table that should be a dining room if we were that sort of family. Okay. But it's just my work table. So the first step was to buy a file or something of the sorts. I had big ideas of like nice, pretty stickers and stuff with like colors and flowers, but I couldn't find exactly that. So here's me after scouring the shops for a filing system, feeling very happy with myself. I am now the proud owner of my largest ever file holder. It's like, how can I describe it? It's like the size of 3 laptops. It's gonna hold all my documents, no problem. So I am looking forward to organizing them. Next, I had to actually do the deed, do the do. I built it up so much in my head that I'd actually delayed it and got anxious about it. This when anxiety just piles up like this pile of papers, you just procrastinate, you put it off, you push it.
Exactly, yeah. That's the main reason of procrastination.
Yeah, anyway. When something feels too big and overwhelming.
Yeah.
But in the end, it was maybe an hour.
Only?
Yeah. Sitting on my dining room floor, I used sticky labels just to label like piles of paper on the floor so I could put everything into piles with the sticky note saying what it was, like taxes, health insurance, things like that. And then a big bin pile in the middle.
Bin was for useless.
Yeah, what I can actually bin, like I don't need it. And it felt so cathartic. It was like getting rid of a dead weight.
The elephant.
Yes, this elephant that was sitting on my shoulders that was gone. And it felt great. And it turned out that I went from like a 1/2 meter high pile to just one expandable plastic folder of nicely categorized documents neatly tucked onto my shelf.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you were holding onto a lot of crap.
Exactly. I mean, Marie Kondo does this whole like, does this spark joy? If not, throw it away. Here it was, is this something useful? If not, throw it away. Like, am I likely to ever need this again? And so much of it was obviously no. There were about 100 envelopes, but because they were spaced in between the actual important documents, it made it look like there were lots of documents, but so much of it was just
empty envelopes.
Well, envelopes was like 1 or 2 papers that I'd had to transport at some point, or that were given to me in the envelopes. So if anyone ever needs envelopes, holler.
Oh, you didn't throw them away?
No, they're in their own pile now.
Nice. Did you recycle your paper?
Let's not get into that.
Okay.
Yeah. I even discovered documents I'd completely forgotten about, which could genuinely make my life easier when the time comes. You know, like when someone asks me, when I need to complete some process and they ask me for a certain document, I didn't remember that I had. So I think we can hear from this next clip that I'm pretty happy with myself.
So this big pile of papers and this drawer of like old papers just used to make me anxious. And so I spent the evening yesterday putting them in little piles, and now everything's organised. And you know what? I'm looking forward to the next time I have to find a document, because I'll be able to just go to that file, look it up, know where it'll be, find it quickly and be able to put it back. And that I just know is going to be so satisfying.
Next up was my other stressful physical space, my clothes wardrobes. Yeah. So Saxo and I, that's Saxo, my partner, we have 3 bedrooms in our house. We're very lucky. And somehow we've managed to spread both of our clothes across all 3 bedrooms. So when I get dressed in the morning, I have to go to all 3 rooms just to assemble a basic outfit. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So
each of you have stuff in all the rooms?
In all 3 rooms,
oh
yeah.
My God.
So it's not very practical, right? I think you'll agree.
It's not.
Thankfully, I have a wonderful lady, Finn, who works with us in the house once a week just to keep on top of laundry, because we don't have a washing machine. And for those not in Nairobi, that's quite common. And she helps with the deep cleaning. And so she helped me. She came like an extra day, and I briefed her on like the aim of the game. She was very happy. She knows I always lose, especially this Yes Girl t-shirt. I can never find it.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah, I know. You guys laugh about me behind my back. So we basically emptied everything out, and I then kind of defined the new system for everything, and we agreed it was a good way to go. And I even tried the Konmari folding style. So you can YouTube it.
You're rolling or folding?
No, it's not rolling, it's folding. Yeah, you fold in half, and then you fold in 3, and then you then you put them facing like vertical instead of horizontal, because they're in neat little bundles.
So that you can know what is what.
You know what is what, and nothing gets lost at the bottom, and you don't have to take everything out to know what's in the drawer. But this only works with drawers.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have one Konmari drawer. Konmari is basically Marie Kondo, Konmari.
Her system. And who's Marie Kondo, for those who don't know?
Marie Kondo is a Japanese cleaning and tidiness and organization guru. And I think she's like Marmite. You either love her or hate her.
Yeah.
So we were doing this Konmari folding method, and it turns out, so Finn, remember, who was helping me do this, she'd been basically doing this Konmari folding method since forever, like since secondary school. Apparently, like you'd fold it that way and then put it under your bed, and then you don't need to iron it because it gets flattened with the weight.
Kind of ironed by the bed.
It's ironed by the bed, and there's no creases. So we put everything in a logical place. So like I have my wardrobe and Saxo has his. We just share the sock drawer. That's it. So now I just have one room I go to for my clothes.
Amazing.
And the most important thing is that this system would not only was good to set up, but also to maintain. The idea is, as Toni taught us, there's no point setting up a system if you're not going to maintain it.
Exactly.
Right? It's just pointless.
So you had to put things in a practical
way, and in a way that was realistic. I had only one Konmari drawer. I didn't try and make everything like perfect, but everything was in order, everything was in its place, and now we know the socks go here, I know my underwear goes there, there's my sportswear drawer and the Yes Girls t-shirt right in the middle, always. And she also taught us the term hansei, which is essentially the process of continually reassessing, which is nice. So I can pause and say, okay, is this is this still working or what can I do better? How can I optimize
My
it?
iterations, the same thing.
Exactly. So through all of this, I followed the 5 S's that Toni taught us, which I think we'll go into a bit later. But it's the process of how you kind of sort things, basically. Very, very nifty. So just hold on, we'll go through it in a bit. And they really, really helped. So I think the best bit of this whole experience was actually having an organized way to get organized, right?
Yeah.
Like having the structure made the whole process easier.
Yeah.
So yes, there was that elephant in the room, that the papers, but at least knowing how I was going to go about it made it a bit less daunting.
Exactly, yeah.
And to be fair, I didn't try and organize my whole house, right? I focused on priority areas that would make the biggest difference to my everyday life. So here's just a quick one of me excited at the end of the challenge. What a week. So it started off with filing and throwing away a whole bin bag of papers. I felt good. And turns out I don't actually have that many important papers. I just had a lot of junk. And then today with my housekeeper, Finn, we emptied out all the cupboards and then arranged everything. And I have one Konmari drawer. Oh, yes, I did it. I can't believe I actually did it. It's so great. I can't wait until I have to find a document or until I need to find a particular piece of clothing. I'll know where to find it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, baby. So what's happened since then, you might ask?
Yes, I'm very curious to know.
Well, I've kept it up. Every document that enters my house either gets filed away right away or gets binned. There's no like growing pile of papers.
There's no like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow.
Oh, no. It's immediate, right? Because this is about maintaining. My clothes have like, I'll use them and then they go back to the right drawer. And when I have to pack for a trip, I actually enjoy the process, especially like, you know, these days, like I said, all ladylike fashion and stuff has gone out the window. So basically I wear sportswear on my Yes Girls t-shirt. Okay.
Yeah, you have 3 t-shirts. Salomon, Yes
when
Girls,
I leave
and
the house, basically I'm in either Salomon stuff, Yes Girls t-shirt, or BioLite stuff, right? My 3 identities. So when I pack, it's usually from the sportswear drawer, and everything's facing up, and I just pull out these little folded bundles of clothes. It's very satisfying.
And you put that also on the suitcase.
It's in the suitcase the way it is. Yeah,
Amazing.
It stays nicely folded. So yeah, put in those little bundles. It's neat. It's easy, and it's organized. And I actually want to do the same now for my other physical spaces. And I feel like being one of those walking, talking internet hack videos that shows you how to fold clothes or like use a toilet roll holder to make a new wardrobe hanging system.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe just one step at a time. Maybe I'll start next
please.
with like my spice cupboard.
Oh, spice.
Yeah.
Is it that bad?
Yeah, there's no system. There is no system. Every time
You always
I go
have to
there,
check what you want.
I'm like, do I want to put like? I grab the first thing I find and think, will this work? Let's try it.
They don't have labels.
They have labels, but you can't see them. Also, what?
Oh, there are
thing
too
you
many.
Want, they all look the same from the top,
Damn,
from
yes.
the side.
Yeah.
So that's me.
Now we turn back to our expert, Toni, to see how she thinks we fared in living in a lean, structured, and being organized way.
Yeah, and so we spoke to Toni at the end of this challenge, and here is what she had to say about how we did.
I think we're hardest and most judgmental on ourselves. And the fact that you've embraced it and you've made progress, you've felt relief, you've come up with iterations, and there's satisfaction there. At this point in time, I would give you both an 8, as long as you are continuously embracing. And so I would just, I recognize how you both embraced this process, how open-minded you were, how you brought in, Claire, some support, Akumu, how you brought in what works for you.
During our ratings and review session, we touched on some of the basics of being organized, which can help anyone see the world around them differently.
What's driving you? What's your motivation? So by actually looking at that and identifying and articulating it, you're amping up the energy you're going to give to this versus, oh, I just want to get more organized. Well, why do you want to get more organized? What's important about that to you? What's meaningful about that? What will be different once you have that? So to know what your motivation is. And just to relax in the knowledge that anything is possible just one step at a time. And so you can break it down. Don't try to boil the ocean or become something you're not. Although you can certainly go to people that are very organized for tips or just to talk with. And so that's the next point is, tap into your support. Who can you bring in to support you in this? What do you need for yourself internally to support you in this? Maybe it is buying a little book. Maybe it is Googling something out there. What can support you? Maybe your partner, maybe a friend. So we all have the capacity. It's great to know what the vision is, the dream. What is your motivation? To take it one step at a time and to see what can support you. So I would say those are foundational to be able to get your organizational capacity nurtured in incremental targeted areas.
And those 5 S's that I mentioned, well, now's the time. Let's find out what that's all about.
My background's in lean. I have a lean black belt, and we look at continuous improvement, collaborative continuous improvement, problem solving across organizations, and big and small things. And there's 3 types of continuous improvement. There's process, which is more like what Akumu did. You're finding a process that works for you to track your tasks, your goals, your progress on those goals and getting them done. And there's physical. There's also innovation, but that's another story. So physical, 5S, could be physical as in touch and see, or it could even be electronic space, right? So it could be your electronic world. There's 5 steps to 5S. Sort, take everything out and put them in piles of the 3 R's. What you're going to get rid of, actually 4. What you're going to recycle or donate, what you're going to remove, and what you're going to retain. And the remove's a relocate. It's going to put it somewhere, it belongs somewhere else. So sort is the first step. Take it all out, get rid of, recycle, remove or relocate, and retain. And the second step is to set in order and shine at the same time. So clean it up as you go. And the setting order is a place for everything and everything in its place where you can find it. Standardize is about systems, labels, checklists, color codes, simple mental cues, making it visual and easy to know where things go and be able to find them and put them back. And sustain is all about just that check-in all the time. How's it going? What do we need to adjust? What tools do we need to put into for accountability? Maybe it's a checklist. Maybe it's a monthly, review. What have you? So, and then you can bring in Marie Kondo's concepts if it's your clothes for folding, or even the spark joy concept. If you're, do I get rid of this? Well, hold it in your hand. Does it spark joy for you? Well, maybe you should hold on to it. But
so if you want to learn more about Toni's coaching and what it means to be a lean black belt, in a better way than we said it, you can visit her website. It's Toni Crow, and that's TONICROW.com. That's ToniCrow.com. I honestly really love talking to Toni during this challenge. She has a way of being encouraging while also pushing you to do better, but from your own perspective. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. And I guess in her own way, the No Girl is doing the same thing.
Exactly.
And we haven't heard from her yet. Not since the beginning of the episode. So I think it's time for a reality check.
For Akumu, it sounds like you found a way that you're happy with to organize yourself to do something small every day to get you closer to reaching your life goals. What I'd really like to know is the result it's bringing for you. What difference does it make in your life that you're writing down your actions to contribute to your goals every day? Claire, I really identify with you being filled with dread of this one thing that seems so defeating. I was once without an income for a few months, and I couldn't bring myself to look at my bank balance. I just went to the ATM and checked if I could withdraw money. That sound of the ATM counting money remains the most beautiful thing I hear to this day. And the silence of when it doesn't count money? Oh dear. I wonder what the future implications of your challenge are. Will you feel less intimidated to tackle this one big thing that seems too big because you know how good it felt having it over with once before? Or are we just wired to build up the things that we're scared of until they seem unsurmountable? Or are they just different for all of us?
Thank you, Freya. We agree.
Do we? We're not supposed to. No, it's supposed to give us food for thought, which it definitely does.
Definitely. If you want to find tips on how to become more organized or see before and after pictures of my left page iterations, the 4.5 iterations, and pictures of Claire's cupboard and filing system, check out the show notes or, of course, our Instagram page. That's at Yes Girls Podcast, and you'll find everything you need.
Everything you need in life.
And don't be shy. We don't bite. Not always.
Unless you ask us to.
Oh my God. So don't be shy. I won't bite. Claire might. And you can always DM us. She's actually biting.
I bit myself.
Oh my God. So you can also DM us. So don't be shy. You can also DM us with specific questions, comments, and feedback that you have for us.
And if you want to suggest something that you think the Yes Girls should do, be, or learn for future episodes, send us your ideas. Actually, I think someone should make a song of like do, be, learn. Like do, be, do. Doobie learn. If you have any ideas, please send them to us. And if you want to share your expertise, business, or passion with us through one of our episodes, get in touch. That's at Yes Girls Podcast across all platforms.
And of course, we also share behind the scenes photos and videos of our various experiences, whether to do with the challenges or not, so that you can get to see a little of what we put ourselves through in the name of doing, being, and learning. Do, be, learn. Yeah, we still need the song for your entertainment.
And education.
Well, joy is certainly sparked by Sompisha Production out of Snowball Studios, right here at Snowball Industries, along with Ernest and Rioba, who organized and packaged this episode beautifully for you guys. And we want to file away Sam Kagora of Eternal Concepts for doing our amazing logo design. And we would prioritize Pedro Bryan anytime for, in our time management or filing systems for composing our theme music. And there's no one quite as organized as our no girl, Freya Odds-Dottir. And we would space we would use the Konmari method for our very amazing guest expert, Toni Crow, any day. And we'd fold her into neat squares, smoothing down the folds like a beloved garment. Okay, maybe that was too far, but you get the idea. But really, thank you for being this episode's voice of wisdom. And speaking of voices, we would love to, talk to you guys, the ones who are listening. Ultimately, we would cover you, yes, you, in sticky notes and labels. That's to all of you who are listening, our yes boys and girls and everything in between. We wouldn't, can never, and hope to never do it without you. Do anything without you. Yeah. So we'll see you again in 2 weeks, where we will once again be doing, being, and learning something new, and hopefully bringing sweet sounds into your ears.
In more ways than one.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. But for now, that's it from us. Claire.
And Akumu.
And we are
the
Yes Girls. Oh, yeah.
Doobie, 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 love. Doobie, 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 love. Doobie, 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 love.